welcome to another episode of the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition's Forum. I'm your host, David Dadekian, a small business owner here in Rhode Island. I own Eat Drink RI. And today we've got a slightly different guest for you. Still, a great conversation is coming, I know, because I've met Joe over the years. Joe Wilson Jr. is the director of the Providence Department of Arts, Culture, and Tourism. And he's really a fantastic guy. Let's have a great conversation. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
It's nice to see you. Like I said, before we were, got on the air here, I think we wanted to talk to you because we wanted to talk about the things that, infrastructure sometimes brings to small businesses, and certainly the arts, culture, and tourism bring a lot to small businesses, especially in Providence and around the state. But why don't we start with a little, background, because I know, like many people, I dabbled in the creative world for a while. You made it a full-time thing, but you had a lot of different things going on in your life. I've had a lot of different things going on in my life. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. We don't really always fit the mold, but you have certainly had a great career leading up to this. Tell the folks out there a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. After college, rather than going to law school, which was the plan, I had began taking acting classes at Notre Dame, and I was hooked. So I went to graduate school in acting. I received my MFA in fine arts, and I worked for almost 30 years in the American theater as an actor and director. I've worked on Broadway, off Broadway, and regional theaters around the country. And actually, my work at Trinity Rep as an actor hired out of New York got me. I was introduced to this community, and so I moved here 20 years ago to join the resident acting company at Trinity Rep. And of course, I met the mayor and his husband through their love and support of the theater. And so 3 years ago, I was asked to join his team as the director of art, culture, and tourism. It seemed like a great opportunity to come to this job in government and politics and all the bureaucracy that comes along with it. Yeah. Having a unique perspective as an artist. I know what it's like to be in this sector. I know what it's like to wait for a check. I know what it's like to really rely upon the support of our cities in thinking about arts and culture as an important part of our infrastructure. Right. That these aren't just luxury items, that they are an important part of quality of life. They're an important part of civic health. And more importantly, because us artists, we become a lot better at quantifying the effects of our work. We also know that this is an important, critical part of our economy here in the city of Providence, and of course, in the state of Rhode Island. And of course, artists and creatives are small business folks. Right. We run our small businesses every single day. And so of the large scope of work that we have as a department, one of our keen interests is making sure that we are supporting artists in terms of their small business development. And really investing in our creative workforce development.
Beautifully put. Okay, I think that's it. We're done. No. So you mentioned you have a lot of things that fall under the umbrella of art, culture, and tourism. I know, the obvious things. We can talk about, but also I think we should mention you're part of the public school system. The arts there. Tourism. I think sometimes people forget. It's Rhode Island. Those of us who live here, we don't think about it as a tourist location, but it's a definite tourist destination. We've seen that over the years, not just the beaches and all that, but really Providence and the art side of things, PVD Fest, things of that nature. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, what you've been working on for the last few years and what Providence has been working on for a while now?
Well, let's be clear about tourism, that we are in conversation with Tokyo and London. Yeah. As far as New England having a region that has the density of arts and cultural assets that we have within a 2 or 3 hour drive within this region. Yep. So it's a really important part of our economy. But let me give you a sense of the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism was founded 20 years ago by Mayor David Cicilline, Congressman Cicilline. And we have, and this is not just me spouting off unfounded information, but anecdotally. We have one of the largest scopes of work across sector and cross departmentally than any department of our kind in the country. Of course, we produce signature events, one of which is indeed PVD Fest. We just came off this weekend of producing the inaugural PVD Holiday Festival,
Okay.
So between those four festivals, we produce per year about $3 million worth of festivals in the city of Providence. We also permit every special event in the city of Providence, including every film shot in the city. We are also a grant-making entity here in the city of Providence, providing small grants to artists via 501c3 fiscal stakeholders. We also steward a public art portfolio. This year, we added $380,000 worth of public art to our portfolio in collaboration with the Avenue Concept, which included 6 new murals across the city. And we painted with art over 50 electrical boxes. We also have many signature placekeeping initiatives, whether it's Broad Street Stories. We recently installed 3 kiosks on Broad Street, marking really 3 important historical sites on Broad Street. We've just completed our Providence Commemoration Lab work, which was, we stewarded $1.4 million from the Mellon Foundation to re-examine how we commemorate and what commemoration means for our city. And we've also been in the process of operationalizing our second 10-year cultural plan. And you speak about tourism. This plan was developed for, by, and of our creatives. And 2 things that they wanted us to tackle off the bat was to examine our cultural heritage tourism marketing space, meaning looking at the space and asking the question, who is missing from the narrative of how we speak about this city? And what we found is that we oftentimes, we lean into the colonial story of who we are,
Right.
we don't lean into the fact that this city is one of the most diverse cities in the country. We
Absolutely
are
true.
diverse a city as Los Angeles. And so we've been working with our tourism partners to tell a fuller story of who we are as a city and as a state. More importantly, another way that we've been trying to operate, we've been operationalizing our Second Street cultural plan is through our work with Life at Night. So many of our artists are gig economy workers, and they work in our Life at Night sector. And so often our Life at Night sector is dictated and stigmatized by those who work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Our Life at Night sector in the city of Providence is annually is a $990 million sector. And so if this sector were labeled oil and gas or labeled anything else, we wouldn't think twice about providing the kind of support that it deserves. And so with this plan, we're looking at everything from transportation, everything from quality, lighting, quality of life issues with the gig economy worker working at night. And we have developed a Life at Night task force, which is looking also at ordinance changes to make it easier for businesses to be able to activate in public space. We've been working with our businesses in neighborhoods in terms of sound remediation. And so that's just some of the work that we're up to in this department. But we're really proud of the work that we're beginning to do, particularly within the Life at Night sector.
Yeah, that is a fantastic sector to talk about, especially, from my world, the food and drink world, encompasses bars and nightclubs and all the things down there that really are vibrant and exciting. And like you said, it draws a huge amount of money to downtown. It draws a huge amount of just life and excitement to downtown. Can you update us a little bit where that stands? I know you mentioned the things that you're working on for your department, but where does it stand with the city council and all of that, what's going on with the regulation?
Well, what I would say to start off with, to work, we've worked, I'll start internally in the department and in the mayor's office, and then we can speak about the ordinance. Well, maybe I'll reverse it. The ordinance, that has gone obviously back to committee, and we're working through that. I know there have been lots of concerns from stakeholders, both businesses who need to be able to activate their spaces, to draw folks into these businesses, especially post-COVID. I know there's also been discussions within neighborhoods to make sure that we maintain quality of life.
Yeah.
And we will continue to work to do all of those things. But this is a yes and world here. We are a department of yes. We are a city of yes. And there's a way that we can figure this out. And so we will continue to work on creating the conditions that, for our small businesses to be able to activate and to be able to attract guests, and working with our neighborhoods to ensure quality of life. But some of the other things that we've been doing as a department is, for example, this year, we're in the midst of a pilot program with both Lyft and Uber that we provided discount codes to folks who work within the Life at Night sector. Obviously, I mentioned that we've established a Life at Night task force that is comprised of probably 40 folks from across the city that represent all aspects of the Life at Night sector. We have also piloted this year, and we also have it in our budget again for FY26, is a grant remediation program where we've invested, hired a consultant to go into 2 local businesses to help them remediate sound and to create a better sound experience for both patrons and the gig economy workers, but to also help remediate sound outside the businesses. We're in the process of launching the second of that grant remediation program. We are working with the planning department right now in creating a new schematic of lighting within downtown and within our cultural corridors that can create lighting as a character.
Yeah.
And we often think about lighting as whether it's going to be LED or whether it's going to be whatever incandescent or all of those things, but we see lighting as an opportunity to not just illuminate, but to create a sense of place and a sense of event. And this is happening all over the world, that we're using lighting in much more of a creative way. So we're working, through that right now. And yeah, we're just continuing to try and operationalize as much of this plan as possible. More importantly, it was taken out of our budget last year, but we're trying to get into the budget in FY27 funds to support a new position here in the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism, which would be a Life at Night manager.
Yeah.
This work is full-time work, and we need someone to be able to help us be at the forefront in leading these initiatives, even down to the marketing of this sector, the marketing of Life at Night, and really creating the energy and synergy to support a sector and being treated as a sector, and once again not being treated as a byproduct of our life here in the city, but as an important part of the economic viability. I'll say one more thing about this.
Yep.
We have to understand that our cities have changed post-COVID.
Yeah.
The density of businesses operating downtown, those big corporate entities, that is a bygone era.
Right.
Right now, cities are being reimagined as places that people live and play, with many people continuing to work virtually and remotely. And so activating of downtown space is important. It's important for our downtown, our small businesses downtown. But more importantly, the mayor and the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism understand that whether you're talking about ephemera, a festival, an event, this is all part of civic cultural infrastructure. And we have to invest in these things. It's as important in investing in this as it is a road or a sidewalk or a building. Yeah. Cultural infrastructure has to be treated with the respect that it deserves, but more importantly, understanding that it's a quality of life issue. It's also a civic health issue. It's an individual wellness issue. Yeah, and we are now fully understand that this is also at the center of our economic viability moving forward.
Yeah, excellent point.
So thank you.
No, thank you, John. Yeah, obviously, again, working with a lot of restaurants, I've had this conversation with a lot of restaurant owners. I think you're absolutely right. The nightlife person, manager needs to be full-time, and also someone who used to work those hours. It needs to be someone who works those hours, who works that 5 to 3 essentially, or something like that.
If I could also jump in, because you made me think about something else, and I think this may help us jump off into another place here, is that we have to stop looking at gig economy work as work because we can't find anything else to do.
Right.
That gig economy work is not even just for artists. Gig economy work allows a certain flexibility that many people want in their work-life balance.
Absolutely.
Especially in a world where kids aren't going to traditional four-year colleges. They may not go to a 2-year college. They're going to trade schools. They're working in the gig economy. They're trying to start small businesses. So the path has become so much less rigid and traditional and predictable than when I was coming up and going through traditional 4-year colleges and a 3-year grad program and the like. And so I think we're also responding to how people are pursuing these opportunities in terms of their careers. And that's why we're also leaning into understanding the importance of and supporting our creative workforce development. So many of our organizations, whether it be AS220, New Urban Arts, the Steel Yard, all of these institutions are at the center of creative workforce development. And these are valid, important ways that many of our young people and also older folks, continuing education, are seeking the skills that they need to be able to succeed. And we're really proud of the work that we've been doing with Skills for RI to be able to
Yeah.
create tools for our creatives and artists to be able to level up and to be able to be successful in this new and changing climate.
Yeah, and you know, I keep thinking you list all those things. I'm thinking about all the types of jobs and creativity that you just listed. A lot of that does lead into small business. A lot of that does create entrepreneurs and does create, you know, maybe you're not, you know, thinking about it, you know, driving for Uber right now, but that may be your path to being a small business owner. And you know, I think it's important to have that infrastructure in place. I mean, that's it. We keep talking about this like infrastructure. I think you know, I know this is kind of a little outside of the Providence wheelhouse, but you know, you mentioned the Uber and the Lyft to help workers at late at night. Well, that's also because we don't have the RIPTA system that we should, and so you know, things like that we need to concentrate on. We really need to realize that that is what forces you know, these small business owners to have to make some choices that aren't the best, and it'd be better if we could help them out with things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, you mentioned a lot of things there. I'm going to make sure we'll link it up down below when we post this. You know, the grants and the nightlife work. Actually, I'll link up to our interview with Nina as well for Skills for RI, because that's great that you mentioned them. It's a great organization. How can small businesses? Is there a path for small businesses to get involved with what you're doing? Is there you know, still room on these boards or anything?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, people can go to art, culture, and tourism.com and go to our website. Also, you know, there's some really exciting initiatives happening in the city. For example, we're creating a one-stop shop for small businesses here in the city of Providence, and that will be located on the first floor at our building here in 444 Westminster. And so again, that will be an opportunity and a place and a hub for people to be able to come and get support with everything that's related to small businesses and licensing and the whole 9 yards. But we understand that these businesses are at the heart of our community. They're at the heart of our creative community. They're at the heart of why we call ourselves the creative capital.
Yeah.
And so many of these small businesses hold culture. They are culture. And so we understand the importance of needing to scaffold and support these entities. And again, so many of them are continuing to try to rebound post what was a very disruptive time during COVID.
Yeah.
And so that's one big initiative that the city will be launching in the very, very near future that folks can take advantage of.
Okay. Well, also, I want to make sure people understand, you know, we talked about downtown quite a bit and you mentioned some other areas, but yeah, you cover the whole city of Providence. I mean, you know, Hope Street, Atwells Avenue, Broad Street, you know, Wickenden, you know, think about all these areas, not just downtown, but obviously downtown is important, but think about all these other areas that are also such drivers of traffic and community and business. So it's really, really appreciated that.
And I'm glad you brought that up, David. It's like, also we have to think about these neighborhoods. It's not a one size fits all model.
Right.
But more importantly, we have to also, which is the work that we learned in our, you know, second 10-year cultural plan, is that we have to also treat each of these areas with respect in terms of as distinct as they are and the needs that they uniquely have, but making sure that all of these areas, not just downtown, all of them are allowed to live and flourish and enjoy the abundance of what opportunity can bring. And I think that for me, it's not only an economic issue, it's an equity issue.
Yeah.
And so I know that, yeah, we want to be better about that. We want to make sure that, again, we tell the story of Providence as one that's not just about downtown or about one organization or one event, but you know, Broad Street is as important as Benefit Street.
Yeah.
And that is really at this, that kind of equity and access and inclusion is also at the center of our work here in this department. So, yeah.
No, it's extremely important to bring up. You know, I love a lot of food businesses on Benefit Street, but the food is better on Broad Street. I don't want to play favorites, but yeah, you know,
I'm not going to go there.
Let's not get myself in trouble. I shouldn't play favorites.
Well, I live in Federal Hill, so they also may have something to say about it as well.
Yes, absolutely true. No, it is true. I was up there on Friday, in one of our bars that just celebrated 1 year, and Loma, and they're having tremendous success. And it's so nice to see when small businesses get that support from the community, and Federal Hill's been great with that, and all these areas, like you mentioned, a lot of areas around the city really support the small business as well. But equity is extraordinarily important, and we have to always keep that front of mind. Thank you for bringing that up. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go today?
No, I just want to say how grateful I am to have this conversation with you. I always love having the opportunity to speak about the city that has become my adopted hometown. As I said, I grew up in New Orleans and now live in Providence. And, people look at me cross-eyed when I say it, but Providence reminds me a lot of New Orleans, and New Orleans reminds me a lot of Providence.
Yeah, there are those similarities. I know. I've been down there many times. It does have that fun kind of, rebel attitude, and yeah.
Rebel, this kind of density of culture, a sort of a free flow of cultural exchange, and I think that New Orleans and how they differ is that New Orleans has a sense of itself that it doesn't really care what you think about it. It's what it is, and they celebrate that. And I think that I would love for our city to have that same kind of spirit of let's stop saying we're punching up in our weight class. Our gift is that we are a small city and state. The gift in that is that we do know each other. The fact that we know each other is not a bad thing. But I think where we can be better is that this is a small state. We do know each other, and that we should, in this time of limited resources, be strive to be more collaborative, to be more responsive, to take more risks, because in the state of this size, we can also afford to pivot very quickly. And so I just wish that we would get out of our own way. Let's break down the silos. Let's communicate with each other and know that a rising tide lifts all ships. But I am bullish on the future of this city and this state. And I believe that our best days are indeed ahead of us.
No, thank you very much for that, Joe. This has been a wonderful conversation and inspiring. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it. That's Joe Wilson Jr. He's the director of the Providence Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that was another great episode. I hope you've been watching all these episodes because I really enjoy these conversations with the folks we've had on. I really appreciate Joe taking his time today to talk with us. As always, you can find all the links down below, or, wherever you're watching this on YouTube or podcasts, we're linking them all up. You can find the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition on all your socials. And until next time, take care.